Hello everyone, Storm 11 here. Today we'll be taking a look at a possibility for maybe a significant ice storm that may happen across most of Kentucky, eventually getting into portions of West Virginia, maybe back as far southwest to southeastern Missouri, maybe into northeastern Arkansas, and also northwestern Tennessee, maybe several Illinois as well. We also be tracking for possibility for multiple waves of snow that could put down several inches of snow across portions of the Ohio Valley and also off the screen as well into portions in the Mid-Atlantic as well. So let's go ahead and get started with the European model with this. So now it's just updating, so this is a fresh run here. It's not completely done yet, but it's a fresh run out of the European model. And as we continue on here, so your big ice storm event will start really around Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. And when you get these reds here, that's freezing rain, and these pink colors are also light freezing rain, but these purple colors are sleet. And of course, the blue area is self-explanatory, snow. And let's kind of play this through here. Seems like so the worst of it's going to be by Wednesday evening. I mean, that is some heavy icing across southwestern Kentucky. And this is eventually going to be moving across central and eastern Kentucky, eventually getting to western West Virginia. Meanwhile, on the northern side here, got a band of heavy snow. There could be several inches of snow out of this. And just look at how long some of that ice just sticks around there. I mean, for a pretty good period of time. I mean, nearly a full day, or say 24 hours of just ice, freezing rain. I mean, that's just a pretty long period of time for freezing rain. And it could be possibly moderate to heavy at times. At least that's what the European model is thinking of with this. And on the north side of this here, there's going to be a band of possibly some light to moderate snow that could put down to several inches of snow. And you can see here just off the screen here across portions of West Virginia, Maryland, and probably some more areas as well, getting on to possibly a good amount of snow out of that. And that's just the European model thinking here of this. And let's look into the GFS. Now, I think this is the most accurate model than out of the rest. This has been the most consistent and probably the most realistic model right now. And the models are starting to trend towards more to GFS. And you can see here, freeze rain can start as early Wednesday morning. You can see freezing rain starts to go off across southern Illinois, southwestern Kentucky, southeastern Missouri, and northeastern Arkansas. You're going to watch this expand, or actually move, into central Kentucky, eventually getting to eastern Kentucky. And just look at that freezing rain. I mean, this is getting into, that was an accident there. This is getting into Wednesday night. And it's indicating there could be pockets of heavy freezing rain, so those ice accumulations could come up fairly quickly. Some of these spots here. And in areas of purple, that's at times some heavy sleet. There could be a decent amount of sleet accumulations. And just to the north of that, you got a band of possibly some heavy snow. You can see how some of that freezing rain does linger to most of the day on Thursday. And some of these areas here may be able to transition over to snow here. There could be an inch or two of snow that may happen behind that system from areas that got probably get hit worse from the ice storm part. And then we're going to watch for this one here. GFS has been consistent with this one. You got your low right here, got a band of heavy snow on the northwestern side. I do expect this to change. I mean, this is the pretty much the only mall that shows this. I mean, the KMall shows it, but it just happens a couple days later. But this will be something to watch here too. And since it's been pretty consistent here, it's going to be interesting how these malls are going to evolve this next one here as well. The European mall doesn't really show it that much as well. The European mall has to really handle some of these storms that well, but it seems like so far the GFS is handling some of these storm systems pretty well. So we're going to watch for that too. And that's probably going to be for a different video, or may not be a video at all because I may not have power, which I'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. So this is the NAM model here. It does not go for the entire event. Oh yeah, by the way here, as we get into later tonight, there could be a band of heavy snow across southern Illinois, northern Kentucky, southern Indiana to southern Ohio. Some places will be able to reach over 3 inches of snow, especially around the Cincinnati area, which those folks haven't really seen much of any snow this year. It looks like it might be able to get it tonight here as well, and maybe some more later this week. So let's take a look to the NAM here. You can see here areas in the reds there. You can see there band of some heavy freezing rain across those regions there. You can see how it sticks around. Moves a little bit to the south there, and eventually should get out here by Thursday evening. Doesn't show a whole lot of snow on the northern side, but it does show some spots getting in some heavy snow as well. And what's going to be happening here is, I mean, the overall setup, you're going to have a big Arctic blast of air, really just to the northwest, moving slowly to the southeast. Meanwhile, you got a ridge across the southeast, bringing moisture here, and you know how warm air rises here, and it's going to be rising, and some of this cold air will get down to the surface here, and with a warm air aloft here, you're going to get a corridor of freezing rain. So that's basically what's going to be happening here for this storm system. And we'll look into a different model. We got a couple more to look at, but this is the high-res NAM with this. And it actually does not go for the entire event, but does get into Wednesday evening. You can see here a corridor at times some heavy freezing rain, especially kind of around the Cincinnati area, just around Louisville, just north of Lexington, north of Charleston, West Virginia as well. Meanwhile, just north of that, I got a pretty good band of snow across a good chunk of Indiana, Ohio, Illinois into Pennsylvania, which some of those guys will be able to experience a couple inches or maybe a chance for several inches of snow. Now, I think this is an outlier, high-risk Canadian. You can see here it does show a stripe of freezing rain, but then it just goes really far to the south here compared to other models. The Canadian model is showing the same thing, but I think this is way too far south to my taste here. I mean, when you compare it to other models, especially the GFS, where I think it's going to be the most realistic model out of the rest here. And so we're just got to pay attention to this zone right in here, somewhere right in there. Some of those areas could pick up quite a bit of ice there, which is too early for to make an ice accumulation forecast. There's still some uncertainties here with the accumulations of the ice, but there still could be a decent amount of ice out there either way with this. So let's talk about the ice accumulations. The European model, I don't have access to freeze and rain accumulation, but I do have access to freeze rain accumulation on the GFS, NAM, high-risk NAM, and also high-risk Canadian, which we'll take a look into those. We're going to let this load for a little bit. And we'll talk about the snow amounts a little bit as well. And you can see here, pretty scary ice amounts to say the least here. And it's showing some areas picking up really above 8/10 of an inch of ice, getting to close to 9/10 of an inch of ice. Most of these areas picking up over half an inch of ice, which is pretty significant, but these models typically overdo some of these ice amounts, but if we kind of cut these at half somewhat, that'll probably be a little bit more accurate forecast, but it's still high ice amounts. I mean, even if you cut this in half pretty much, you'll still have some areas picking up to 4/10 of an inch of ice, which is still pretty significant. I mean, a quarter of an inch of ice, that's where you start to get some major issues out there, like power outages, trees could come down as well. The roads will be very icy as well. Which, speaking of icy roads, back around, I think it was either Tulsa or Oklahoma City, which they just had like a light glaze of ice earlier today, and there's been many accidents out there. So if you're having those hairs, just be careful out there if you're watching this video. But anyways, could be quite a significant amount of ice. And unfortunately for me, I am going to be probably forecasted to be within the worst of this ice storm. And that kind of leads me to a little bit of a different topic here. Is that there may not be any uploads for a few days. I mean, the I don't know how long I'll probably have no power, and with my power outage luck, it's not great. I probably lost power like 2 times so far this year, so it's not been great. But with this ice storm event, if the GFS could be correct, I'm probably not gonna have any uploads for a few days, or even be active on Twitter because I'm not gonna be able to charge my phone or anything like that. We do have a generator but I don't think that's not going to go too well anyways. It's a pretty old generator. It's back at 2009, which speaking of 2009, this is a slightly similar setup to what we had back in 2009 in Ice Storm, which for me, I got half an inch to an inch of ice. Southwestern Kentucky got an inch to 2 inches of ice, which is ridiculous amount of ice. But I don't think it's going to be as significant as the 2009 event. Hopefully, we don't really have a repeat of that because I had no power for at least a week. So it was pretty bad there. It seems like the worst of this ice is just really going to be over me in eastern Kentucky, southwest, central Kentucky. Looks to be the worst areas for the ice right now. Even getting into portions of West Virginia as well. So yeah, it's probably going to be a little bit of a rough ride for me. And not only me, even for some other Kentuckians and even for outside Kentucky, like portion of West Virginia, it'll probably be a little bit of a rough time. Which, if you guys want to learn a little bit more about the 2009 ice storm, I'll put a video in the link description down below. And this guy here really explains well what happened back in 2009. And again, I don't think it's going to be as significant as 2009, but this setup does seem a little bit similar. There's some similarities there. So going back here, so this is the NAM, and it shows pretty much similar ice amounts here, just a little bit further to the north here. But I think it's just going to be a little bit more similar like the GFS. Somewhere right in here in this area here could have the chance to see some significant ice across some of these regions here. And when we talk about significant ice, we're probably talking about at least a quarter of an inch of ice. And that's going to cause some major problems out there. Which you can see here, it's got some spots even picking up close to 1 inch of ice. That's quite ridiculous there. And again, models typically overdo these ice amounts. It's pretty common. We're probably not going to look into the high-res NAM because it does go for the entire event, but we'll take a look into the high-res Canadian real quick and let this load for a little bit. And as you can see here, again, I don't think this is going to happen here. I think it's too far south on the second wave of ice here. I mean, it shows across a good chunk of Tennessee, back across portions of Mississippi, southern Arkansas, and northeastern Louisiana. Again, I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's going to be a little bit more focused across these regions here, like some of the other models are saying with that. Anyway, by the way, for the European model, I did see someone post the European model with ice amounts back on the 0Z run. And I'll tell you what, it definitely looks quite scary. It's got some spots having over 1 inch of ice, mainly across central and eastern Kentucky. Some areas could pick up over an inch of ice, and that's what's indicated by the European model. So just to let you guys know about that, of what the ice amounts were for the European model. So this is the snowfall forecast now. This is the 10-to-1 ratio. It definitely seems like it's been trending a little bit to the south here, but also keep in mind includes, I believe, sleet as well, so it's not going to be completely accurate, but it seems like I'm also been trending a little bit south here, becoming a little bit more focused across southern Indiana, northern Kentucky. Not so much for southern Ohio, but you guys will still have a chance to see a decent amount of snow out of this, even into portions of southern Illinois and even back into portions of Missouri as well. If we look into the GFS, so we'll take a look to the more accurate measurement of what is snow, which is the Kutch era ratio. And this is what it says right here. You can see here, definitely some pretty good snowfall amounts. It's got some areas picking up to a foot, especially across south central Ohio. And again, there may be a chance for quite a bit of snow across these regions here. And even not those areas, even way back here as well. Could be a little bit overdone, but it's definitely going to be a widespread, probably 3+ inch snow event over a pretty large area. And I think most of your heaviest snows could be a little bit more focused somewhere right in there. Let me actually rewrite that again. I think most of your snow will probably focus somewhere in here, maybe not that far south, but generally focused in northern Kentucky, southern Indiana, and even getting into southern Ohio. Even off the screen as well into portions of Pennsylvania, Maryland, West Virginia, Northern Virginia, and some other surrounding states as well could get on with quite a bit of snow. We'll take a look at the NAM. here as well. And this is what it's thinking of here for snowfall for the next 84 hours. So you can see here, again, pretty decent swath of snow, possibly up to 10 inches of snow at some spots here. Not as much snow out here than what the GFS is showing. Again, I think this is going to be more of a widespread 3+ inch snow event than widespread 5+ inches. So, yeah, on that, we probably not going to be looking to the high risk NAM because it doesn't go far out yet. And we could take a look into the high risk Canadian really quick here. And this is what its thoughts on. So, yeah, a pretty good band of 5+ inches of snow across southern Illinois, southern Indiana, southern Ohio, far northern Kentucky around Cincinnati, to portions of Pennsylvania as well. Pretty good. A decent amount of snow could definitely fall across some of these regions. Here's something a cool tool that you guys probably never seen before. And what this is here is this is like a map generation here, and shows how many days since the last winter storm watch was issued by the National Weather Service office. And where we're indicating probably some winter storm watches to be issued will be these regions here. And you can see in the National Weather Service Louisville, it's been over 1,000 days since they last issued winter storm watch. So it's been a pretty bad uh, winter storm drought, I should say, across anybody that lives in the National Weather Service at Louisville viewing area, which that's where I live. I live in their viewing area, and I have not seen a winter storm in probably really around 2 to 3 years. So it's been a long time. Even around the National Weather Service of Paducah, it's been 758 days. You got other areas that is worse, but these guys typically don't get a winter storm watch on average. It's pretty rare down there. And we can also take a look of how many days since the last ice storm, which you got all these options here. So let me find ice storm warning. An ice storm watch, I don't think it does not exist. You guys can let me know in the comment section down below if it does exist or not. I don't think it does. I did try ice storm watch on here and it doesn't work. So I'm guessing that ice storm watches don't exist. Or it's just never been used before. Who knows? But it's going to take a moment to load here. Hopefully, here we go. And where we do expect National Weather Service offices to probably issue their first ice storm warning in a long time will probably be a couple of these National Weather Service offices, which the National Weather Service at Louisville and Jackson, it has been 2,935 days since the last ice storm warning. So that's a very long time. And I believe, if I'm correct, that's a few years ago. So it's been a long time. National Weather Service Paducah, it's only been a little over probably about 1,100 days. I'm sure these here will change as we get to later this week. That will reset to 0. Here's what. So it's been a pretty long time since we had a ice storm warning. And may as well for fun. We'll look into the last winter storm warning. I mean, why not? This is a pretty cool site to use, and I might put in the link description down below for you guys to, mess around or whatever. I mean, this is stuff that's pretty cool, for sure here to use. And these numbers keep on counting every single day. I mean, these numbers that keep on going up till they issue one of these watches and warnings. So we'll wait this for it to load. And also I got a couple maps to show you guys as well, which I'll show you guys in just a moment. And yeah, this is how many days since the last winter storm warning, which the majority of National Weather Service offices, it's really been between 0 to about 30 days, to say the least. But look at some of these National Weather Service offices in the north that typically more snow than areas across the south. 750 days for the National Weather Service in Louisville area. That's a long time. That's about 2 years. Similar situation for the National Weather Service at Paducah. National Weather Service in Nashville, it's been a very long time. 1,118 days since the last winter storm warning as well. So, yeah, it's been a pretty long time since some of these National Weather Service offices have last issued their winter storm warning. So, you guys probably seen this in the thumbnail or something like that. But this is kind of the overview of the setup for mid to late next week. And you can see areas in the blue here, which includes portions of the Midwest, venturing into the Mid-Atlantic. That's where we have multiple snow chances, and there's a chance for a winter storm for portions of southern Indiana and Ohio and into portions of the Mid-Atlantic as well. So that would be areas to watch as well. Then you got areas in the purple here. There'll be an ice and snow mix to the north. That just means these areas right here will have a little bit of a snow and ice mix. And then areas down here, that's more in a way for a ice and rain mix. So that's just basically what that means there. And then you got areas of green, self-explanatory, mostly rain. And then areas in the red. This may change around a little bit more. Areas in red, that's where we have probably the better confidence of an ice storm to occur later this week, and that'd be the areas to watch as well. And for any of my Kentucky followers or that watch this, here's a little bit of a special look for Kentucky. And you can see here, let me actually move this out of the way. So areas in the blue across the north, mostly snow, could be several inches. Light blue, snow ice mix, significant ice is a possibility. And then areas in the pink, which I'm in the dead center in this thing. Right about in there is where I live. And these are areas that has the greatest confidence of getting a lot of ice. And this is some areas that can see most of the ice could fall, which definitely is trending towards more of these areas right in here are definitely trending towards to get most of the ice for this event, which is quite concerning. Areas of purple, that's a rain and ice mix. You'll definitely get a mix of ice. Then areas of green, mostly rain. Although this purple here may expand for the rest of the state since there may be a chance for some ice down there as well, but accumulations won't be that much. But anyways, guys, that's all for you guys today. Hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you guys like this video, hit that like button. If you really like my channel, hit that subscribe button. Hit the bell notification so you never miss an upload. If you guys have questions about this, leave it in the comment section down below. I'll answer you guys' questions. I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.